Honorable Professor G.L. Piris and His Excellency Tisara Samarasinghe.
I have to say that since I've taken up the job with BOI since about now 5 months, I can see the opportunities and also the opportunities for Australian investors to go to Sri Lanka and invest in Sri Lanka, and it is an opportunity that I would say that nobody shouldn't miss.
I'm very happy to talk about Consul in Sri Lanka because I was the first person to go there in 1987 when we were contemplating a new factory. We were already operating in Malaysia and Thailand, but we had a great need for new surgical gloves capacity, examination glove capacity. And we found the BOI and the government very cooperative. In fact, if I could have 2 of Dr. Jawira's slides, I'd look at them again here and present them to you. Because I had experience of BOI government assistance in Malaysia and Thailand, but I certainly found the BOI in Sri Lanka to be the best in terms of cooperation with new investors. They made appointments for me and they had information, that everything that I needed to know, and they were of great assistance in taking me to the industrial estates, which we finally chose for the investment. Sri Lanka is now Consul's largest factory, and that has a great deal of meaning because Consul itself is the world leader in surgical gloves and in industrial gloves, both of which are made in Sri Lanka. Consul's market share is about 20% in surgical gloves, sold everywhere in the world, Europe, USA, Japan, Australia, and the same in industrial gloves, about 25% market share. And a very large proportion of that production is coming from Sri Lanka.
We are not in a trade zone, we're actually outside a trade zone, but we have the same advantages, but we have some just higher regulations. You can get tax-free. I noticed in your presentation up to 12 years, but certainly we're not looking at spending $25 million to get there, but we have a period of time where we are tax-free. Infrastructure locally is improving. We saw some fantastic infrastructure work that's being done at Janaka and also in the ports. The freeways, they're all building up quite nicely, so that's great. Logistics. You spoke earlier about the logistics, close freight shipping ties into India and the rest of the world, and also daily air flights into Frankfurt, which is where a lot of our product ends up. Close to the subcontinent, free trade access to India and Pakistan. When we get to the stage of our new products getting made in our Sri Lankan factory, they will be eligible for free trade agreement directly with India and Pakistan. We are currently selling scales, truck scales, hundreds of truck scales every month from Australia to India. Now we'll be able to move them from Sri Lanka to India with distinct advantages very shortly. The education system is outstanding. Our staff over there are degree qualified. We have dual degree graduates in engineering, microelectronics design, industrial design, about to hire some high-end accounting staff over there, which is dear to my heart, being an accountant. But they're plentiful, they are well educated, they're English speaking if you need that as a skill, and they're great to work with.
As Mr. Paul Cooper said, there's a great similarity between the legal systems. Your system, insofar as it relates to negotiable instruments, agency, partnership, banking, shipping, insolvency, company law, other areas of mercantile law, all of that is almost identical with the laws that apply in my country because they have a common source. And the common source is the commercial law of the United Kingdom. Our residuary common law is not English law, it is Roman Dutch law. And that is attributable to another historical circumstance, namely the fact that the island was occupied by the Dutch between 1658 and 1796, when the British took over the maritime provinces of the country. But interestingly enough, it was an aspect of British colonial policy that they allowed the pre-existing legal regime to continue, subject only to such modifications as they deemed essential. So the British, when they proposed Sri Lanka, continued to apply Roman Dutch law.
So ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking about business, think about Sri Lanka. If you're not thinking about business, think about a great holiday in Sri Lanka, because as the little video we showed earlier, what a beautiful place. I travel there every single year, and I haven't been to some of those places either, so it made me homesick a little bit as well. So please think about Sri Lanka if you're thinking about investment or your next holiday.